This is the ending to the film Leave the World Behind, where a little girl watches the season finale of the TV show Friends. If you've never seen the movie, this might seem like a random way to end the film. Honestly, with context, it's still a pretty random way to end the movie. Honestly, overall, I thought this movie was just okay. But the one thing that this movie did do for me is give me a whole new appreciation for physical media, even though I don't think that was the director's intention. For those who haven't seen it, Leave the World Behind is a 2023 film that was released on Netflix, directed by Sam Esmail. This film follows two families as the world is falling apart around them. No cell service, no internet, no TV, no communication. And tensions rise between them as they try to figure out what's going on and try to trust one another. At one point, two of the leads decide to sit down and bond over music by listening to a couple of vinyls. Now, this is a trope in a lot of post-apocalyptic stories. Music brings people closer together, whether it's playing the guitar or singing. Now, these two characters have been at arm's length with each other for a majority of the movie, but at this moment they decide to push past all that and just enjoy each other's company as they forget about all their troubles as positive memories just flood back into them as soon as they played the vinyl. Besides the end of the world, one of the other subplots in this movie is that a little girl is trying to finish her favorite TV show, Friends. She only has one episode left, but without Wi-Fi, she can't finish it.
I was literally about to start the Friends series finale, but the internet on my iPad still isn't working.
The world is literally ending, and all this girl wants to do is watch TV. Honestly, relatable. Later on in the movie, the girl finds an abandoned house that luckily has a survival bunker down inside. And what does she find? But a room full of a giant DVD collection. And lo and behold, she finds Friends, allowing her to finish her favorite TV show. One of my biggest regrets was getting rid of most of my music collection. My vinyls, my CDs. I was moving at the time, and also I got a brand new car that didn't have a CD player in it, so I didn't really feel like keeping most of them. Big mistake. And honestly, in this day and age with mostly streaming services like Apple Music, Spotify, Netflix, Kindle, Steam, it almost seems kind of pointless to have a physical collection. But as companies love to keep reminding me is I don't own anything. That album you're listening to, that movie you're watching, that game you're playing, you don't own it. At any moment, that service or company can just say, actually, we don't want you enjoying this anymore. Or your Wi-Fi goes out, or it's not available in your country. Either way, if you don't own a physical copy, you don't truly own that piece of media. You're basically renting it, even if you purchased it digitally. Of course, some things you can't even purchase if you wanted to. Magnetic attraction, Millie Jackson, straight opening the captions. Here comes a Hicks and Braxton, lyrical contraction, delivery reaction. Like the movie Leave the World Behind, the movie that inspired this video, I cannot purchase a physical copy of that movie. It's only on Netflix, so I cannot own Leave the World Behind unless I buy the book. Since the pandemic, streaming services have become the popular way of consuming media, particularly in movies and TV shows. Like sometimes I think about all the original movies and shows that are on streaming services that would just disappear tomorrow if those streaming services were gone. Like imagine tomorrow if Disney went bankrupt, God forbid, all the original shows and movies on Disney Plus would just be gone. No, Andor! I couldn't watch Andor anymore. Well, legally. Back when Netflix was pretty much the only streaming service, I would mostly watch Smallville on there. Smallville is one of my favorite shows. I've seen it so many times. I would just put it in the background while I was working on something else. And they took it off of Netflix. I panicked, man. I went on Amazon immediately and bought every DVD. Best decision I ever made. Thank God it wasn't a Netflix original. I mean, if I wanted to watch Game of Thrones, I could hop on HBO Max and watch the whole series, or I could buy the entire show on Blu-ray. But if I wanted to watch, say, something like Squid Games, I can't buy a physical copy. I have to watch it on Netflix. You know, legally. Yo ho, pirate's life for me. It's even worse with video games. Recently, a game director from Ubisoft has said that gamers should get used to not owning their games, basically saying how CDs and DVDs have become obsolete, so buying physical copies of games will pretty much become the same way. And he's kind of right, like, no one really buys music anymore. Again, everything's streaming. And I haven't bought a DVD in like forever. I mean, I haven't bought a game in forever either. Like, the last game I bought physically was probably like Persona 5.
But I don't want to rely on subscription services to enjoy my favorite pieces of media. Literally everything has a subscription service nowadays. If you want to enjoy Twitter properly, you have to pay for it. If you want to watch YouTube without a million ads popping up, you have to pay for it. You want to watch your favorite movies? Guess what? You have to pay for it. And you stop at any point, guess what? You can't watch them anymore. I mean, I'm not gonna act like collecting physical media is perfect. Not at all. One big problem is you eventually run out of room. As a comic book fan, space is a constant factor I have to be aware of. It's one of the reasons why I stopped collecting single issues for comic books. I mean, at least with CDs and DVDs, if I wanted to, I could just get rid of the original cases and just put them in folders. And with books, I can always read them digitally, or I can focus on audiobooks. But that will also require me to remember to download the books so I can read them offline. And technically that also takes up space on my devices. And who doesn't like smelling that new book smell? On top of that, buying physical media could also get very expensive. Like, let's say you wanted to own the entire season of your favorite TV show, say Game of Thrones, you might very well be shelling out hundreds of dollars. Especially with anime. Anime is so goddamn expensive. Like, just one season of an anime can be 40 or 60 bucks. Just one season. You know what? I think I'm good on anime. I got all the seasons of Dragon Ball Z. I'm good. Of course, between a one-time purchase and a monthly or yearly subscription, I think the one-time purchase is the better option in the long run. Some people have streaming services just for one show, and at that point, you might as well just buy the show so you can own it. Plus, it's cool to be able to say you own that thing. Like, hey, look at my collection. And you can't really say that with streaming services unless you live in another country. Your Netflix is the same as my Netflix. That, and unless you have a NordVPN. And don't worry, this is not a sponsor. I'm not cool enough to have a sponsor yet. Another thing I've been trying to get into recently is photography, and not just taking the photos, but also printing them out as well. There's just something about having a physical copy of a memory, and it's not just existing on my phone or on my laptop. It just feels more special. Like, I remember where I took this picture, or I remember where I bought that comic, or I remember where I got the deal on this movie. Hell, my favorite thing about the Rugrats movie is not even the movie itself, but the orange VHS tape. And if that didn't show my age, I definitely have now. Since I've been on YouTube, I've noticed more and more people talking about physical media and collecting them again, and I think that's super cool. And I hope that means that companies realize that we actually want to own things. I know, what a novel concept. Even some directors have spoken up about this, like Christopher Nolan. Hell, one of the best zombie movies, 28 Days Later. For a good while, you could not rent this movie, you could not watch this movie digitally, or even buy the DVDs because they were out of print, as well as the sequel. But they have changed that now recently because of the newest entry of the series, 28 Years Later. So now you can once again purchase 28 Days Later digitally. All I have to say is why was that option taken away from us in the first place? I've talked about this before on this channel with, the whole concept of lost media. And it's just becoming more and more prevalent with streaming services just always removing things from their platforms, having to constantly jump between streaming services. It's so annoying. I really don't know what the solution is, unfortunately, because I don't think any of these streaming services are going anywhere anytime soon. And at this point, I think it's just up to us, the consumers, to just keep physical media alive as best as we can. But that's all I have to say on the subject. Again, this was kind of a part 2 to another video I did. Give that video a watch if you're interested. This was a topic that I've been wanting to talk about again. I really like talking about other things on this channel that are not just movie reviews, and every once in a while I want to dive into another topic that just floats in my head. I will be getting back to movie reviews. I do want to be more creative on this channel, Mo tried to do different editing styles. This video kind of took a while to make because I was trying to get a bunch of different shots for this just to make it more unique, because again, a lot of people have talked about this subject on YouTube already, and I wanted to at least try to make this video stand out just a little bit. make it more visually interesting, and I hope you guys appreciated it. If you did, consider giving me a a like, and let me know what you thought down in the comments below, and consider subscribing for future videos. Once again, I've been Nate. This is Infinite Repeat. Stay up.